In this episode of Clubhouse Chronicles, we will be taking a deep dive into the women of Clubhouse, celebrating the death of David Carroll. If you are easily triggered, do not watch this video.
No surprise. But they don't believe what they.
You know I ain't shit. I ain't shit. I ain't shit. I will tell you I ain't shit. Bye bye, David Carroll. Rest in peace, motherfucker. Yes, you. Rest in peace. The man who said that all black women should die. The man that said all black women should die. The man that blamed black women for every ills on the universe. Rest in peace. You died alone. You died alone. I hope they donate your body to science and hack it up and see what kind of fuckery is in. You died alone. Rest in peace to one of the original members of the Manosphere and the He-Man Black Woman's Hater Club. Rest in peace. Do you think I care about he's dead? You know how I feel about things like that. I don't care. But I cared enough to make this room today. So yeah, and trust. It's going to keep happening. This man is one of the reasons why one of the reasons that men are out here having the influence to kill their partners. They listen to these manosphere people. They take this shit to heart. They feel conquered. They feel out of control. So the only thing that they feel they have control over is to kill and hurt the people in their lives, namely the women that love them. So bye-bye, bye, bye. And the thing about it is he's having, they're having GoFundMe's for his cremation. I thought he had it like that, so intelligent, so erudite, so, oh, I'm so this, I'm so that, black woman of this, black woman of that. Rest in peace. Because you fuck with black women, you fuck with me. Rest in peace. Do you think I care? Oh, don't talk about the dead. Fuck him. Fuck him. I have no sympathy. He should have died sooner. The earth is a much better place. There's a cleansing in the air. Karma is getting all of these motherfuckers, and I'm here for it. Remember, I have no mercy for people like this. I have no mercy for people like this. I don't care for people like this. Rest in peace. You shitted on black women for over a decade. You're dusty. You shitted on women for over a decade on YouTube. I watched you. You complained about your wife leaving you and taking your money, as she should. Your narcissistic, entitled behavior. You were in bed with white supremacists and Nazis. You pandered to white people so they could hear, so you could get brownie points from them. And trust, they didn't care about your ass either. One thing I know about white people, they don't like disloyalty. And this is why black men are the laughing stock of the universe. And this is why they always look at white people, what black women like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You still loyal to these people who don't care about you. So rest in peace. But they have a GoFundMe to get his cremation. Uh, a GoFundMe. So a lovely lady said, I didn't even know about this one. Oh my gosh, there's so many of them. But none of them have decided to be a role model for black boys. Very telling. Exactly. These are the same black men who go up, and I don't really talk about relationships or anything like that. It's not about that. It's about the people in this manosphere. And do you not correlate the uptick in the manosphere with the uptick and the killing of black women and girls? Huh? Huh? Did anybody ever think of that? Remember Asia McGowan? Huh? Does anybody remember her? That beautiful little young black girl who was killed by her classmate, and he was listening to the likes of, Sergeant Willie Pete and some of the. Oh, see, I'm older, so I know a lot of you people probably never heard of him. But remember, I was around. I was on YouTube since its inception. And the first thing black men did on that app was talk about black women, disparage black women. And he was one of the originals. Oh, I go way back in these streets. I seen this shit way back. Black and I seen it way back. Way back, because we followed these people just to see what they were up to. We tracked these people. You don't think an optic can someone post Black's GoFundMe at the top, please? You don't think that these people, because of their behavior and the rhetoric that they spew, has an uptick in the killings of black women and girls. So I say, rest in peace, motherfucker. I don't care. You should have died sooner. Ha 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 ha. Let me do a Chief Keef. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Yeah. Do you think I care? I cared enough to, yeah, I'm going to roast him. I roasted him in life, and death doesn't mean anything to me either. I will roast you in death. Remember, I'm not a Christian, so I don't have the, oh, be nice to the, he did. Fuck him. Fuck him. Fuck him. I am the Jew of all Jews when it comes to this shit. I don't forgive my enemies. I don't wish them well in life. And I don't fucking wish you well in death. I am glad you're dead. Die again. You stupid motherfucker, you. But see, nobody wants to talk about this uptick in the manosphere, how it is here, how it hurts black women and girls. It is disgusting. Eh? Disgusting. So I'm here. You talk about black women and girls. You were in bed with white supremacists. You said, oh, they have a right to do what they want to do. Well, what they need to do, I saw a video he took down. We got it taken down, where he said, oh, he doesn't care what white supremacists do, but if they kill black women, he's all for it. So bye-bye, you stupid motherfucker. And I hope you die again. Remember, I'm not a Christian when it comes to this shit. I'm a Jew. I don't forgive my enemies. I don't have mercy for you. I don't care if you're dead. You need to die again. See, I remember this shit back in the early days of YouTube. Some of you were babies. Some of you probably weren't even around, or you were around but you weren't aware. But people like S and I and Set Free, we knew all these old dudes. So bye-bye, David Carroll. All that rhetoric you spewed over the last 10 years, guess what? You died alone. And I hope there are more of you that will follow in your footsteps. That's what I wish for them, because they are an enemy to black women and girls. He was the one that was going on expounding the deaths of black women. He had this obsession with white black women who dated out. Obsession. It was a weird obsession. Weird. And for my tax students, remember, we're off for the holidays. I will see you next week. We are off, but please do the homework that I've asked you. If you have any questions, you can email me, you can text me. If you need to call me, you know I'm available. But yeah, I wasn't going to make a room today, but everybody's like, oh, you heard about David Carroll. You heard about David Carroll. Yes, I heard about David Carroll. Can somebody ping Black in here for a minute? I heard about David Carroll. I knew about David Carroll when David Carroll came out. He was one of the original old heads talking about killing black women. He said it. Kill black women. All black women need to die. That's exactly what he said. Go look at his old YouTubes if you feel so inclined. Go look at them. He said outright, black women need to die. That's what he said. That's exactly what he said. He said the world would be a fantastic place if there were no more black women on the earth. And we all need to die, and we're the problems for everything that goes wrong on the planet. Not just in the black community, but on the planet. So I've spoken my piece, but yeah, he said all black women need to die. So now that he's dead, rest in piss plus, and I hope you have an eternal hell. And I hope that black God you see is a woman, which I believe God is a black woman. So I hope you get all the smoke, because you literally campaigned for the death of black women. You literally was on YouTube getting thousands of views, campaigning and hoping for the deaths of black women. All of us, and people would say, oh, he's only talking about a certain segment. This man said if he was in bed with the finest, beautifulest, most educated, submissive, God-fearing black woman in bed with the fat ass and the little waist and all of that, and he was in with 10 cigars, he said he would rather have the 10 cigars, 10 toes down. He would rather have the 10 cigars. So this man's hatred of black women was very virulent. It was a strain of hatred that these guys these days pale in comparison to what he did. He was very popular at one time, and then he kind of faded away. But we remember him. He was one of the catalysts of the Tommy Sotomayor's and the Obsidians, and Obsidian did a whole tribute to him. Our tribute to this dude. These are the men who, because of them, there has been a uptick in the killings of black women. And if you look at these guys' social media pages who do all this killing, you will see 99.9% of the time they've been in these manosphere spaces. So if you see a guy, check out his social media page. If he's dealing with those manosphere spaces, run like hell, because you might end up on Black's list. Maybe they should donate his body to science. So someone said there needs to be a room on the contrast of donating to males who cause femicide versus the women who are bringing awareness to prevent it, femicide. So let's have that room. They should donate his body to science and cut him up and see the hatred that he has. So people are like, oh, do you know David Carroll died? Yeah, I did. I wasn't even going to think about it. But yeah, now that you're gone, bye-bye. Rest in peace, nigga. Die again. And you died alone. And you had no insurance. Eye for an eye. Eye for an eye, motherfucker. Eye.
What took
So
him out? Was it like gout or something?
I
I
don't
hope it
know.
was
I'm thinking it
COVID.
might be
That's
COVID
what
related.
they're
Huh?
saying. Rumor has it that it was COVID because Black Woman Street posted like a video of his quote unquote last words, and he sounded real interesting. And people were posting comments again. Rumor has it. I don't know, but it seems like he was sick from something. I hope it was COVID. I don't.
Well, whatever took him out, I'm glad his ass is gone, and I hope the rest of them line up right behind him.
Amen. La, 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 la.
Na 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 da da
La,
da
la,
da.
la,
Hey, good.
la, la. No, but I'm serious. This man, because of his rhetoric, he was one of the predecessors of the Black Manosphere. He was Tommy Sotomayor before there was a Tommy Sotomayor. He was an Obsidian before there was an Obsidian. He was running around with Sergeant Willie Pete, who's no longer on YouTube, talking all this garbage, saying that he profoundly wants the death of Black women. He called for it. He called for the death of Black women. He prayed to God, his God, for the death of Black women. So do you think I got any love for this guy? Do you think I care that he died? Because he was calling, and they were saying, oh, he's only talking about a certain segment of women. No, you stupid girls who said this, and his handmaids, they were talking about all women, even the ones that clapped for, even the ones that were caping for him. He called for your death too. These handmaidens out here are stupid and dangerous because they think, oh, he's not talking about me. Yes, the fuck he was. He was talking exactly of you because the man stated on one of his videos he died from COVID. It was on his GoFundMe. Oh shit, hold on. A lovely lady in the back channel wrote, he died from COVID. It was on his GoFundMe with only $290. The mills won't help cremate.
Somebody please post that GoFundMe so we can report it. Cause whoever he left behind, they not getting that money. Please post it. We need to report
We
that
should
GoFundMe.
report it.
Ah, good morning. Oh, okay. Mike, yeah, he said he died from COVID. It was on his GoFundMe with only $290. The males. Oh, he's still on YouTube. Sergeant Willie Pete is still on YouTube. Look, we go way back. The males won't help him cremate his body, and his family is only asking for $1,200. So you mean between all of them,
Sorry.
he's
I told y'all, poor men are dangerous. How many times have I said that? It's always poor men that are dangerous. I keep saying that. It's poor. Why the fuck he couldn't leave nothing for his folks to bury his dead ass? Poor men, or he should need a GoFundMe for $1,200. That's a joke. We're about to give more than $1,200 to our doorman and the super and all of them for Christmas. That's more than $1,200 that we're about to give away for just because they at the down there at the desk. So why does his broke ass need a GoFundMe for $1,200? It's always men who don't have money. I keep telling y'all that, but y'all keep working with a brother. Though.
I feel like ugly men and short men are also dangerous.
The short men who have all men are dangerous, but them motherfuckers that don't have no money, they're angry that patriarchy didn't work for them. They're very angry. That's why he was on there doing all that.
But where's Black? Can she get in here and do her numbers today?
Yeah, I pinged her. I don't. She might be doing some other things, but
Okay, but we have to be careful because this man called for the death of Black women. And I was speaking to my dear friend Ken Brisbane last night, and he's saying it's going to get worse. And it's just sad, It's just really sad. But you notice these men who commit these crimes, when you look at their social media, 9 times out of 10, they have been in the Black manosphere listening to the David Carrolls calling for the death of Black women. David Carroll said if he was in the bed with the baddest bitch on the planet, had everything going for her, the baddest bitch, bad in every way, he would be, and then there was a box of 10 cigars. He would have at it with the 10 cigars than to be, you know, with the baddest bitch. And that's just sad. But he died alone, and now his family is doing a GoFundMe for his cremation.
I think they want a little extra for his two brothers, who is also hospitalized.
Oh my God.
See, this is what happens when you alienate people that, the very women that gave birth to you, that created you, that put you here. This is what happens when you do that. I hope those cigars serve you well with your $290 GoFundMe, bitch.
What's
And
going
the sad
on,
part,
ladies? I don't mean to interrupt. What's going on? What happened?
a once famous YouTuber who called for the death of black women on his channels has recently passed away due to COVID. This man would get up on his channel and call for the death of black women. He said the world would be better if every black woman died on the planet, and we all need to be shot at sunrise. And he just said some really horrible things. But he was the predecessor of the Obsidians and of the Tommy Sotomayors and of these cats. But I'm thinking all these people are on his page giving him all these tributes, and oh, we love you. We think you the man, you the shit, you the bomb, you the this, you're the that, blase woo woo. But you mean they couldn't donate a few dollars to help him in his GoFundMe? So these guys, they don't put their money where their mouths is either. They just like to hear the information and they'll act on it, but they won't help their leader get a proper cremation or burial. You see how crazy that is?
I remember seeing his mug in various places, but shit, he did. He lived by the sword. He died by the sword. Fucking.
I mean, look, like I said, I am not a Christian. I'm a Jew. Eye for an eye. I show no mercy to people that are my enemies. Oh, happy anniversary, Cassandra. I show no mercy to the people that are the enemies of my people. And, when you are in these spaces expounding this hatred toward black women and girls, there is an issue. And I'm going to have a room with Ken Bridgebon and Black, and they're going to talk about why it's going to get worse and why he thinks it's going to get worse. And people have to be careful. Oh, hey, Ken, can you explain a little bit about why you think this shit is going to get worse and what to look out for? Because this shit is crazy. And I don't really have men on here, but Ken is a personal friend, but he has a lot to say, and I'm just like, why?
First off, happy Saturday, lady. Well, I don't even know the day of the week.
You've been sick.
Yeah,
Happy
what
Wednesday, my brother.
Wednesday? It feels Saturday. I mean, okay. So yeah, and by the way, I heard of I listened to David Carroll, and he did say, you know what, he rather had him sticks. That's what he said. He rather had him sticks over a black woman. He said if a black woman was laying naked in the bed, and on the other side was them sticks, which was the cigars. He said
10 cigars.
he want them sticks. That's what he said. Um, so the reason why I say that it's gonna get worse is because the need to feel needed for men haven't adjusted to technology and adjusted to the way that the world is right now. So men need to feel needed, and because they're not needed for the primitive things like picking up something or getting a basic job. Because of that is causing extreme anxiety in the male, and the male hasn't realized that this is the best time for him right now, because many women don't need them for the basic things. That actually frees men up. Men don't look at it like that, because there's never been a time in history where the government didn't need a man's body for war, or a man had to be a hunter or gatherer, or he didn't have to get logged. So men's body have been used for thousands of years. And this is the first time where a male actually can step away and say, hey, you know what's best for me. It's an opportunity to be introspective and things like that. He's not looking at it like that. He doesn't understand that he has a great opportunity because the government doesn't need men right now to fight any wars. But because the men haven't caught up to technology, and that the freedom that they actually have to really go deeper and introspective to redefine what manhood is in a digital world and in a futuristic world, they're actually taking it out on women. So you have to be very mindful. The more successful that you get, the more the violence is going to increase. If black women right now was broke, busted, and disgusted and barefoot, I believe that number would go down. The more that you get your money, the more that you get degrees, the more you align yourself with other women, and you guys begin to build, and you start to focus on your things you have in common. The male is looking at this because you're not leaning on him. You're not being a damsel in distress and saying, "Save me." You're actually reading the same books. You're reading the 48 Laws of Power too. You're reading Napoleon Hill too. You're beginning slowly to go into male spaces. When I go in cigar bars now in DC and Baltimore in black areas, women are in there kicking it hard as hell, like the niggas. And they don't look out of place. You know what I'm saying? So the more that happens, the more many males will begin to have resentment. So just in closing, things you want to look out for. Anytime someone says must be nice to you, end the relationship. Must be nice is the precursor for violence, for sabotage. Must be nice. Little slick ass comments like, yeah, I see you over there with your girls. Mm, yeah. You got money over there. It's anything. It's this. The must be nice is related to a lot of other comments that y'all could probably connect the dots to, but do not overlook that right there. Must be nice, or these little slick shits that people say. You getting with your sisters. You working hard. You going to the gym. You doing these little things. Don't overlook that. It's not a key moment. There is a fifth that comes after that. So it's gonna go up because of your success. That's what it's about. And the male does not feel needed nowhere in society.
I have a question. I have a question. I have a question. I have a question. So let me ask you, is it a woman's job to make a man feel needed, or is it a man's job to demonstrate his value?
No, it's not a woman's job at all. It's a man's job to align with the technology. Again, so what's wrong with having a sense of humor? What's wrong with being intelligent? The thing is, the men are not redefining manhood. They're it's a weird kind of thing because the men are stuck in a time period that they weren't even born in. Like, remember, the brain can't differentiate a real memory from a false memory. So when the men are using terms like modern woman, it is really weird to me because they're alive with you at the same time. They went to school with you, they go to the club with you. They're born in the same year as you, but they're calling you modern, opposed to, like, what are they? So but the traditional man is into patriotism. That means that you die for country. The traditional man is a religious man. He's not secular. The traditional man many of them built the houses that they lived in. The traditional man believes in small government. Okay. The traditional man worked until his damn spine popped out of his back. Right. So for them to call you modern, but they live in the same time frame as you, right? And they had a modern mom and modern aunties and modern grannies. For for them to be raised by a traditional person, that means that their grandmother would have to be at least 105 years old. At least. We're talking about guys that are born in the 80s, the latest, the 60s. right? So it's a very weird thing, but no, it's not a woman's job for a man to feel needed. Right now, manhood has to be redefined. What does that look like in a digital world? You know what I'm saying? It's a great opportunity for men to have this renaissance. And it's not SYSBM, and it's not based on single mothers. You know what I'm saying? It's based on art. It's based on culture. It's based on being seasoned, right? It's based on experience. It's based on being self-made. And what I mean by self-made, we all have help, right? But what I mean by self-made is, man, I'm choosing to determine what's best for me, but they're stuck in a talking point space, right? And that's going to increase in 2022, right? It's just going to be more of a pile on of um the talking points, and they're going to try to shame, blame, and explain you out of your position. Yeah, 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 yeah. We don't care about your degree. Yeah, 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 yeah. We don't care about what that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Are you married? Yeah, yeah. It only works because y'all bite on it. That's the only reason it works. You actually bite, and then you actually explain. You try to justify your success. I'm strong. I'm this. Why are you even in that discussion? Right now, I think as black women, you should be felt and not heard from. That's just my opinion. Like, why are you talking in those spaces? Talk amongst yourself, talk among your peers, and practice what the 48 laws of power talks about. Conceal your intentions. You know what I'm saying? Conceal your intentions. Now, in closing, thank you for for the words today. But in closing, don't just don't think like a man right now. Think like a specific man. Think like a Rockefeller. He moved very differently. Think like a Carnegie. They move very differently. Think like a Vanderbilt. They move very, very, very differently, right? So Negroes wasn't educated by the slave master. Negroes was educated by overseers, which was poor whites, Irishmen, drunkards, right? But Negroes don't move like the masters, because if you did, you wouldn't allow yourself to have chitlin circuit conversations. You know what I'm saying? Your life actually, I'm being serious on it. Your life depends on how you move right now. You have to be quiet, you have to conceal your intentions, and you have to put your pussy in your pocket, and you have to pay attention to the slick words. It must be nice. They start talking about your money. They start talking about your degree. They start talking about you losing weight. They start talking about how your hair is growing. It's these little things. And many of you right now are sleeping with the enemy, but you can't see it because you love that dick, right? So that's what I have to say about that. And it's not your job for a man to feel needed. It's our job right now to actually redefine, and I'm doing it as well. What does being a man look like in virtual reality? That's something I'm defining personally.
What you just said is so true. They can't see it because of dick work. Are black straight women not embarrassed to be that obsessed with dick? I really I wonder. I don't understand.
Nosy,
But
they
it,
are not.
that's so embarrassing. That's embarrassing.
Nosy, they will push their own mammy off the stairs if it meant that they can find a good black man.
Maybe I don't even see gay men acting like that over dick. I don't see lesbians acting like we don't act like that over each other. It's straight black women and it's so fucking embarrassing. I don't understand the obsession with these leaking, burning dicks. It's weird. Anything for some dick. There was a woman in this room earlier at like maybe 4 in the morning talking about how she pays all the bills, but her man is on dating apps and moved in with his aunt and won't have sex with her. And that's all she was worried about was the having sex with her part. Not him being on dating apps, not the fact that like he left her with all these bills, none of that. It's just I wish I had recorded that woman, but I don't go and record in people's rooms. But I wish I had it so y'all could hear it. There's something, and the men on there were like, yeah, he's fucking somebody else. No, he's not. He's just stressed. Like, what's wrong? I don't know.
I would like to add to what Ken said. Ken referenced the 48 laws of power of concealing your intention. Another law is always say less than what's necessary. Do not overshare. We need to stop talking. And this is a lesson for me as well.
Oh, I just wanted to thank Ken for the words that he said because I swear to God, a few years ago I read this book called The End of Men and the Rise of Women, and it's by Hannah Rosen. And she discussed exactly what he said about men really not knowing their place anymore because women don't need them. And this is what this book is about. And I'm about to read you guys on the back page. Men have been the dominant sex since the beginning, since the dawn of mankind. And yet, as journalist Hannah Rosen discovered, the long-held truth is no longer true. At this unprecedented moment, women are no longer merely gaining on men; they have pulled decisively ahead by almost every measure. In this landmark book, Rosen reveals how this new state of affairs is radically shifting the power dynamics between men and women at every level of society, with profound implications for marriage, sex, children, work, and more. But I will say, in the black community, it hasn't really changed anything because, as Novi and Ken said, all straight women worry about is some dang line. That's all they give a fuck about. He ain't gonna have a pot to piss in and when to throw it out. As long as he putting that dick on him, it's all gravy.
Damn, that is embarrassing when you hear it. You really, really understand it. But Patty, I think this is true, and Ken, I think you are right on the money with this. Men need to repurpose themselves. I think women have done quite a good job of doing that in this modern society. I think black women have done an excellent job of it as far as repurposing their identity. And we always talk about tradition. Men are always talking about tradition and oh, I want a traditional woman, but they don't want to be traditional men. And like you said, they're existing in the same paradigm that we are. They're here in this modern 21st century existence, still calling on women to be dinosaurs. It's really very interesting to think about. So yeah, they have to adjust to this technological age where the most powerful men are the nerds sitting in front of computers creating a world that they are going to bow down to. That's what it really comes down to. And women have access to that sort of power as well because they can also sit down at the computer. The thing is, the again, manual labor used to be able to support the 2.5 kids and a wife and a home. That's not the case anymore. Even though, look, there are folks that are making money, but even in construction or those types of fields, the technological advances in those fields are so prevalent to me that if you're just a laborer, it's not going to just cut it anymore. So it's taking a lot more intellect, a lot more technical knowledge and skill to make it even in these fields. So the men that don't adjust are not going to make it. And unfortunately, as we see with lots of black men, especially this nigger sphere that likes to complain online, they would rather complain about how women are pacing them versus stepping up to the plate. We need more men with that without that mentality. And
Yeah, the
Hey,
author of
Kat.
that book refers to those men as cardboard men. She said
Hey,
the cardboard man, meanwhile, hardly changes at all. A century can go by, and his lifestyle and ambitions remain largely the same. There are many professions that have gone from all male to female, and none have gone the other way. For most of the century, men derived their sense of manliness from their work or their role as the head of the family. A coal miner or rigger used to be a complete identity, connecting a man to a long lineage of men. Implicit in this title was his role as the anchor of domestic existence, and no longer these men don't have that anymore, and they haven't caught up yet. And it, like you Asia, you just stated, they rather sit around and whine instead of getting off their asses and doing something.
Kathy, what was that book? The name of the book again?
Potty. Kathy, what was the name
So
of the
just
book again?
generally the first. You want an iMac?
Sis, it was called The End of Men. That
I gotta figure out what it is I want.
Oh, so the end. It was the end of men and the rise of women. I think she said. Okay.
I forgot the author, but I have heard of this book before. So I may check. But yeah, times are changing. Are people willing to change with them? We're in a different world now. So again, it's whining and complaining. And I'll put this out to black women too. Instead of whining and complaining about men who are not going to change, they're not going to change. What are you doing to adapt to the new time, to the new world that you're in, and the reality that you're in? So that's the question.
Yeah, get off your ass and stop whining. To, like seriously, like these are profound changes. Society is not the same anymore. Nothing stays the same ever. So you got to be able to adapt and roll with the punches. This and that, and I believe that's one of the reasons why there's been so much violence going on in the black community, because you got all these dudes that feel useless, and instead of using that rage to make themselves better, they taking it out on the women and the children of the community.
Agreed. A lot of it has to do with ineptness, and I see that from most of the gap in the victims and the perpetrators. I haven't really took time to sit down and do an actual dissection of it, but anecdotally, from what I'm seeing, a lot of times the women are educated, or they've been on jobs for a long time, or they're, self-employed, doing very well for themselves, and the man is just like a never do well. And it's always the same thing. And many of us in this room have said the same thing. What the hell was she with him for? So I do see that, and I really believe it's a jealousy issue, just ineptness. And when that whoever this manosphere guy is, that's just something that's not in my wheelhouse. This manosphere person, from what I see, with them asking for GoFundMe donations, and then the other guy who was a part of the manosphere who died in Brazil, who they had to do a GoFundMe to help ship his body back to the U.S. It's just proving that the black manosphere is like many of these incels. They're stuck somewhere in their mama's basement or somewhere on somebody's couch. They're not living up to the full potential that they actually could live up to. And yet they want top caliber women. These top caliber women that are unattainable to them send them in such a blind rage that they start creating these cells that incubate hatred upon hatred, much like they say the terrorist cells. But I look at those people as community terrorists. So they're both akin. They're akin to one another as far as I'm concerned. But
This
it's a
is
very hmm?
this is that narrative, that cleave to your husband or cleave to your man narrative that comes through religion. Because like I see black women do this all the time, and we see many famous examples where a black woman who is very well to do, she is famous, she's got bank, she's making money, she will go and pick up a random dude and make him the boss of her. All of a sudden, he is her manager. Monique went and got a guy and made him her manager. Nicki Minaj went and got a felon and a criminal and a rapist and said, I'm going to make him my manager. We see this happen with Sherry Shepherd, and we're seeing this story happen over and over and over again. And this is really coming from that narrative that you are supposed to have somebody to cleave to. And for these men, anger is a force for transmutation. Like they are not, like they do not know how to do alchemy, and this is one of the issues where everything you're doing is about entertainment and fun and haha kiki, and not actually going into deeper mysteries. Because when you feel anger, you're supposed to transmute that into something.
I have like my middle brother. He's the only one in the family who's like consistently a millionaire. Like everybody else, kind of like goes in and out, in and out, in and out. Because lack of consistency, whatever the case may be. And he says every time he gets angry, he said he got beat up by the police. He took that anger and built a blockchain company. He took that anger and he built, a real estate, thing that he was doing, whatever the hell is he doing. So he's like, I just keep redirecting my anger into creative forces. And these men, instead of redirecting their anger because of their lack and the perceived gains of women, they are going out and they are in turn, they're bottling it. And so this is where we're seeing the storm, this femicide storm. And I do agree with Ken. The better we start doing, the worse things are going to be when it comes to murder. And the worse it's going to be. And this is why we're always looking at these women like, why were you with him? I don't understand why she was with a dude like that. Because she said she's going to get a man, she's going to cleave to her husband, she's going to submit to somebody who is beneath her in every every measure of manhood, every measure of humanness. He's beneath her, but she is going to go ahead and lay up under him and make him the boss of her. And every time we lower the bar for these type of men to like be able to get over, they just limbo right under that shit. It's a freaking like limbo contest. Every time we lower the bar, they go lower. And at this point, like the bar for manhood in our community at least is in hell. Like we like the bar for manhood is like in the deepest levels of Tartarus, and it's really our fault for not demanding that they rise to manhood and they create and they build and they do the things that is supposed to be men, and they should be in that renaissance form. This is a perfect time for them. They don't have to support whole families and build households and do all these little just survival tactics. So this should be the time when they create. This is supposed to be their renaissance. But you know, I don't know. Women are the creators, men are the builders. If they had any sense, they would, be using the creative force of women to build bigger and better things. But this is not what's happening.
And I agree with that, Ja, and as well as Ken and everybody else up here. This just kind of takes me back to that quote. The hard times create strong men create good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. What do you think what phase of that we're in right now? Because it's definitely the weak men create hard times. And there's just so much evidence that's just abundantly around you. Every day you're seeing it. And rather than, like him said, uh, getting caught up in talking points and explaining yourself, just pay attention to the actions, right? Um, words, words are like what? Opinions. And opinions are like what? Assholes. Everyone has one, right? But the actions are what's going to matter at the end of the day. So I would just strongly, strongly just advise everyone to just pay attention to the actions, the little passive aggressive behaviors that you see, um, all the things that you see going on around you, and you're questioning and saying, wait a minute, something isn't right. It isn't, and we're really seeing a culmination of a lot of violence towards women. It's so important the work that Black is doing because we really, really have to be able to see what is going on and make a different decision. Choose to do something different because if you just keep doing the same thing is going to happen. Is Black in here? Because I actually want to ask her what are the numbers.
Oh, yeah, guys, I'm here, ladies.
Good morning. I'm sorry, I wasn't looking at the phone.
That's okay. I actually haven't really been active, and that's only because it's the end of the year, and I'm getting everything in order. So I haven't really been on, but I can tell you the numbers are at least. This is where I am at 1,430, and I say at least because there are like I'm gonna say there are at least 30 stories that I need to follow up on because I go back during the year to try to pick up any stories that I missed, may have missed, pick up stories where the identities have been revealed, and the names and different things. Families, usually near the end of the year, when it's people who were unidentified at the beginning of the year, families tend to go ahead and release the information near the end of the year because the mourning process, how that works, and some of them figure the furor around it has kind of died down, so they don't have to see it on social media as much. So, like I said, I'm at 1430. So that means with the 30 or so stories that I have out there, that might be like 1460, but it's probably still going to be higher than that. It's going to be higher than that. So I'm probably going to end the year at 1500, and which means the FBI is probably going to be about 200 or so more than me if it stays on trend the way they are always more than me. So realistically, we're looking at maybe 1700 black women and girls murdered this year, which would again the numbers are just trending up. And this was going on pre-pandemic. I don't want people to get caught up in the pandemic because that's what's happening. People are getting caught up saying, oh, with the pandemic, blah, blah, blah. No, these numbers were steadily going up pre-pandemic. So they're actually on trend. The pandemic did not really change anything. I believe, yeah, there was a discretionary number of people who may have been murdered because they were locked in with their abusers, but I don't think it was to the rate that people are trying to make it seem. So it's just that it's on trend. We're just killing each other more and more and more. Economic resources are low, uh, as Ken and others have stated. The brain trust of black men has kind of went down. They're not being productive. They're not being the men that they can be. So there are a lot of things going on within the black community that, again, we're not grappling with, and it's too many of us blaming the old standby that I won't say because I don't want Ken to cough this morning. But people stay on ridiculous topics instead of focusing on what's really.
You know what, Black? I was talking to a friend of mine about all of the wonderful. I say wonderful in the way that you're collecting this data in a meaningful way, not in the the subject matter. But we were thinking, especially moving forward, to really make an impact, and especially concerning pushing this information forward, that we can start extracting from the data that you have, and I'm sure you've started doing this, but like throwing things out there like the numbers of black women being killed per capita uh, as compared to white women, Asian women, and other groups. Since they always want to talk about how crime is intra-racial, we understand that, right? But we want to, maybe looking at this per capita, and putting this in a way that people can see it. Hey, baby. That people can see it. Hi, baby. I love you too. Oh my gosh.
But then I said, who told you? No, no, yalla, come to me. You want
I love it. I
you're gonna
love
get
it.
Kabato.
I love it. I just absolutely love it.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I love that baby, by the way.
He came
No
in and
worries.
he unmuted and I'm sorry.
I love that baby.
We
That's
love
all there is to it.
that.
Mm. Anyway, yeah, that love you too, boo boo. So that, and how many pregnant mothers, how many how many of these people have been shot using dangerous weapons like guns, um the socioeconomic status of the women that have been murdered. I think that this is just a sample, but these are some of the things I was thinking about that we can extract out of the data that you're collecting to really make an impact and let people see that this is not just, oh, crime happens to everybody and femicide happens to everybody kind of thing. That there is something special about what's happening to our demographic of Black women that needs to be highlighted and can be really empirically proven with the data and the facts. So, just something I wanted.
Yeah. I was just in a room with a guy who tried to dispute the numbers. He was talking about, oh, white men kill white women more. You know, the old song and dance. And I'm like, of course, they make up more of the population, but we're talking about per capita, sir. We're a smaller portion of the population, and yet we're being killed every 6 hours. That's not happening in the white community. It's not. And so, you know, it's important when we have these conversations that that kind of information is put out there. And I'm actually trying to group it, just like you said. And I'm trying to find another. I forget what I'm trying to use, but I'm trying to find another platform where I can merge my data and everything, because my spreadsheets are just becoming a little bit too much right now for me to handle. So I'm thinking about merging and going over to Airtable. So, you know, that's why I've been really busy.
I don't
Airtable,
understand.
Tableau.
Yeah, can you answer me this? Can you guys riddle me this? Why is it when every time we bring up the issue of black women and girls being killed, they bring up white people? I feel if you're going to bring up that to conflate the issue, you don't give a fuck about either.
Well, I was
It's
so
a
glad that it was
deflection tactic.
there were some black men that actually had this room going. The room was actually about abortion. That's really what I wanted to talk about. But um, he asked me to talk about femicide briefly, and I did, and they actually shut him down and told him that he's wrong, and he needs to stop, because we're talking about the black community. Stop bringing in other communities, because that doesn't impact us. And I was so glad to see other black men take another black man to task, because we haven't been seeing that a lot. But I will say this: since more people are talking about femicide, I'm starting to see a very small shift with the conversations among black men, and I'm grateful for that, you know, because that's who really needs to be having the conversation. They're doing the killing, they're causing the mayhem. This is nothing that black women are going to be able to solve. They need to become an integral part of this issue and how to curtail it and turn it around. But that still doesn't mean that black women, we better still do what we need to do to keep ourselves safe.
And you know, this whole thing about abortion, I was looking at this Twitter that this girl did, and it's kind of going viral on and other social media platforms like Facebook. That's where I first saw it. So the girl, she was pregnant, and she was like, when she told her boyfriend that she was pregnant, he was ignoring her and acting all shitty towards her. And she's like, okay, well, how is he going to act when this baby is born? And he was just being really nasty towards her, you know, wouldn't text back, leave her on read, and all this other kind of shit. So she went and had an abortion. So now he's in shambles. And she's like, no, I mean, if you're going to treat me like this when I'm pregnant, how are you going to treat me when the child is born? I don't want to be a single mother. And I know that you weren't going to be a viable partner. So a lot of the women who were responding was like, well, I guess he was upset because he realized that he had no control over you because, you know, a lot of men, they do use pregnancy as a way to try to hold on to a woman or control her. So once he took that control away, she was in shambles. And there were a lot of women who were like, good, I'm glad you made that decision. Not everybody's cut out to be a single mom. And why bring a child in that situation if you're not ready, you know? And the men were like, oh, but she killed his kid. And they were like, well, was he gonna support the kid even when he was here? She saw the red signs and she took action. So this is my question. You know, these are the same men that worry about child support. These are the same men that will kill a woman over child support. These are the same men that will bash wholeheartedly, wholesale bash single mothers. But if the woman takes a considered effort to control her own autonomy and the children she wants to bring into her well by using birth control, or in the last case scenario, abortion, then she still gets shit for that. Make it make sense, please.
It
Yeah, and that's what they were talking about in the other one. Basic what the topic was actually was uh something about was abortion created to destroy the black community. That's what the topic was. And of course, they always go to Margaret Sanger. They don't even know the history of abortions dating back to Egypt, antiquity, and it's just a bunch of nonsense. Even the Puritans did abortions when they came in from England. You know, it was okay to have a abortion up to the to what you felt was a quickening, or which means the first time you feel the baby kick. So, you know, this is nothing that was created. Abortion was not created for the black community. I'm so sick of hearing that. I mean, in fact, the black community were the ones who asked Margaret Sanger to help them because there were so many unwanted pregnancies occurring that a group of black social workers, which was a black man led initiative in Harlem, that actually asked Margaret Sanger to come in and help do something with all of these unwanted pregnancies. So I just get so sick of hearing people talk about it.
Well, in the immortal words of Ken Briston, niggers gon' nig. And social media is really giving a voice to the uneducated. Because abortion been around for thousands of years, and it doesn't give a fuck about race at all.
Look, when we were posted in Brazil, we did this tour. We said, oh, let's go take a tour. And it was a person who did this tour of the Amazon. And in the Amazon, we met this group of black people. And they are like one of the very few people in the world that were brought over as slaves, but because they escaped early and went into the deep in the Amazon, and they call it the African village. The people still speak Yoruba, the language that they were taken from in that part of Nigeria. They still speak Yoruba. They dress Yoruba, they act Yoruba. They speak an older version of Yoruba because of the isolation. But a modern day Nigerian can completely understand what they're talking about. And it's mixed with a few other Gan and Ashanti, because they were different people. But they were there. And they said when they were fighting off the Portuguese back in the 1500s now, 1600s, there was a leaf that they would take and they would get in with the Indians and they would go fight together. And there was a certain leaf that they took. And when a woman found out that she fell pregnant, they would take this leaf, and within a couple of days, her uterine lining would shed and she would have what you call a spontaneous abortion. It was a very strong method of birth control. And they would also give that to women who, after having the baby, couldn't pass the placenta. They were having issues, and you can die from that. And it would expel the placenta. And the Brazilian government does not let that plant leave the country. I'm trying to figure out a way to bring it here, because if they ever ban abortion, I'll be at the street corner going, hey, hey, I got that leaf, yo, yo.
Yeah, my aunt, who's a midwife, told me about that leaf.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah, the leaf, yeah, and it's in the Amazon. There's so much
yeah,
shit in the Amazon that people don't know. Yeah, but I would be on the corner saying, got that leaf for you, yo, what's up? Hey,
I
five,
just
five for
wish
20.
you said
I
five
just
for
wish
20.
black folks and abortion, so many have such an emotional conversation when it comes to abortion. The same people who are against abortion are the same people who don't give a fuck when these people had these babies. They're not out here helping them. You know, I,
Thank you.
you know, how are
Thank
you going to be like where I live in the buckle of the Bible Belt, and I have asked these people, hey, I know you're against abortion and everything, but what type of foundations does your organization have to help these mothers after they have these babies? And they never have anything to say. So
I
I'm
have a
just
question.
sick of the
So
rhetoric.
I have a question. What kind of ego do you need to have to believe that everybody invented a whole entire procedure to get rid of the unborn behind of you. Why are black people so egotistical? The day most black people find out that white people actually don't think about them nor give a shit about them, black people are going to be so crushed. Their feelings are going to be so hurt because all this time they thought they were looking at them, and that's just not the case. Nobody cares
No,
about
they
what y'all are doing, what y'all are thinking, whether or not y'all breed or not. Like, nobody cares. So, why is the ego so big that we believe that whole swaths of people are inventing all manner of things to make sure we cease to exist?
I have no idea, but it is a whole egotistical. It's just ego. It's really ego. But this whole abortion conversation even surpasses black folks and whatnot. And I say that because once women allowed men into our realm when it came to how we take care of our bodies, childbirth, and just feminine mysteries, or the mysteries that had to do with how our body functions and everything, you'll notice that's when things changed profoundly for women. I believe it was one of the English kings. I can't remember which one, so I'm not going to say, but I do
It
believe it
was
was one
Louis
of,
the 13th. It was a French
yes,
one.
when he wanted to be present when his wife gave birth to their child. That's when everything for women changed when it came to the mysteries of our body and how we help one another. It just changed. Once men got involved in such intimate, finite things for women, the oppression became even that much more overbearing.
Can I
Yeah,
say something
and
to that?
and I
I
sure.
got something. I got something for you on this topic, ladies. I'm gonna put something on you that you probably haven't really reconsidered, and it's your approach to monogamy, not the man's approach. It's your approach. And this has a lot to do with the femicide as well, because y'all want to be exclusive to one man all the time. That gives him a right to your womb. Now, in indigenous societies like the Lakota or the Sioux, right? The no one knew who the belonged to the baby because all the men hooked up with the women. There was no concept of private property, right? So all this you'll hear men talk about this. Women shouldn't sleep around because of the spirituality, but the ancients didn't say shit like that though. I can't find no ancient book that backs up what they're talking about, right? But what I do find is the ancient whore though, right? What I do find is the Lilith, right? But what I'm saying is, in early American history, before the Jesuits came upon the natives and they judged their sexual practices, women hooked up with every man in the tribe. So when the baby was born, the child belonged to everybody. So the femicide, your wombs, it's because of your go to be exclusive with one man. And many women, I believe, you're scared to test that card out of, 'cause put it like this: if take the kids away, but if you had multiple men in your life, there's and you designate a role for them, and you're intentional about that, it's hard for me to be banging on your door at night kicking your shit in. It's hard for me to move you around because I know my place, right? And you'll be surprised. Your lovers will still get up if you have a flat tire and help you out. It's because you give men exclusive rights to your pussy. You want to be monogamous to men. So now you have to look at that from a man's mind. Men see the world through objects. Okay? So you're my object. So why can't I hurt and kill my object? That's my pussy. I can do what I want with it and what comes out of it. And that actually starts with many of you ladies. You get in a relationship and automatically you just start laying this monogamy shit down, right? And I think you need to re-examine that, because what does it do to the male mind? Think from the male perspective. What does it mean for him? Why just and from the male point of view, why can't he hurt his object? Not from your lens, from a man's mind. You're an object the moment you go into the monogamy space, because the way that we see the world is different. We see the world in things and stuff. Wars are fought over stuff. It's not fought over integrity. It's not fought over spiritual things or what y'all may say is right and wrong. It's fought over that right there and that right there and that right there. You have to understand the male. You have to view the world through the male lens, right? Because many of the things that's happening is because you're not doing it for you, for the view it through my mind, not your mind, right? Because to understand a woman, I have to view it through your world, because we're actually a different species. We're part of the human family, but we're different. We're not the same. I got testosterone running through my body. I see a woman and flows through my penis automatically. You know what I'm saying? Automatically. There's a biological thing that happens. We're different. I don't see a baby and want to hold it. You may. You know what I mean? I don't see a old person and want to sit down with them and nurture them. You may. I see Legos and want to kick them. You understand? So you have to view it through the male lens. And one of the things that I listen, and I'm looking for, I'm waiting for the ideals to ping. You have to re-examine every single thing from the Pisces era, from the Neolithic era, and monogamy is one of them, of how y'all approach.
I think you hit on exactly what I was going to say before you spoke. Seeing the world through a man's lens, and I was going to specifically say control and possession. Those are the two words that came in my mind, and you basically hit it. That I understand that men do view women as possessions, but you added the context that uh, women are presenting themselves that way through the lens of exclusivity. It's a very, very interesting concept. When it comes to the womb, like Black has already said, that is, I believe that is how many of these men view women and the womb and what it produces. That's mine. And I think men right now are being, I think they're being thieves right now. They're being thieves because they're stealing legacy. I think when they impregnate a woman, get her pregnant, but have no intention of taking care of that woman or that child. To me, it's a form of theft. And at this point, I see that from, and maybe that's why I've always seen relationships the way that I have, and uh, or marriage or commitment as we see it in the westernized world the way that I do. And I like.
Yeah, well, I do agree with what Ken said, and I'm glad he brought up the name of that tribe because I had heard that such a long time ago, but now I know a specific group to look up and read up about more because it is interesting how uh, that tribe worked and how it actually works out for them, and there's no contention. I'm sure human nature, given what it is, but for the most part, it appears that that has been working for that tribe.
Good morning, everyone. This is Esper Child. Oh yeah, Ken. That's definitely a good point. I feel like monogamous relationships have always placed women on the shelf, like as like merchandise, than actually as people. And I do believe that is definitely something that needs to change. Like, there's nothing wrong with being, polyamorous or having a relationship that's poly. I think the more that we give men control, and the more violent they would be towards women, and we're seeing the results of it happening day in and day out. So I definitely agree on that point. But just a quick thing that just happened, like, just last night, regarding one of my neighbors. Now, mind you, I live in like a small building. It's like only like a handful of apartments here, right? So pretty much everyone knows each other. We had this one black couple that moved in. They live on the top floor. And for ever since they moved in last year, the cops have been called to this location more than once, because the man that this woman lives with is beating on her, and they get in like really terrible arguments, and there's a kid involved, according to the man in question. Because for some reason, this man, he's very chatty, very gossipy, very effeminate, very gossipy, effeminate man, likes to be in everyone's business. um he constantly would bring up the fact that, oh, well, the daughter that I have is not really my daughter, that's more like my wife's kid or whatnot. Now, mind you, he calls this woman his wife. They're not married. There's no wedding ring to be seen anywhere. I've never seen any rings on their fingers. So, but he calls themselves husband and wife. Now, the gentleman in question, or the asshole in question, I'm just gonna get real right now, fuck it, I don't feel like being nice. The asshole in question, he doesn't do anything. He just sit up at home all day, and he just drinks. And apparently this pisses off his girl, who's working. She's working. She managed to get back on her feet, and she's working again, and they got like a new car and everything that she brought. And like, he doesn't seem to do anything except sit at home and drink. And he claims that he's on like disability because he got shot in the leg. He also claimed that he's an ex-felon. And the only reason why I know all this is because he will either tell me or one of my other neighbors, who's also a black woman who has a roommate, and he would tell them. And it's just like, these conversations are unprovoked. He just wants to tell us his business. Like I said, he's very effeminate, very gossipy. That's strike one. Like, we don't need anyone who's going to be trying to, like, fuel the pot here. Now, I was just streaming. Fast forward to yesterday. I was streaming last night because I play video games. I stream it online, and I hear something like a walkie-talkie on the porch, because I'm right next to the porch, and I heard it, and I was just like, the cops are here again. Because after the cops being called so many times to this location, it's just like, you know exactly what it sounds like when you have like cops running up and down the stairs. You could tell, like, the sound of the boots hitting the fucking wooden stairs. You could just tell. You could tell it's not like one of the regular residents, because we tend to be quieter. The cops were running in here because, according to my neighbor, she said that she heard screaming upstairs, like blood curdling screaming. And apparently, it sounded like furniture was being moved around. So apparently, the couple were throwing furniture at each other. Mind you, there's like a 10-year-old girl in the mix who's probably in the corner somewhere crying. And apparently, according to what she heard from the police, because the police was, asking for statements from everyone in the building, this guy allegedly pulled a knife on the woman in question, pulled a knife on this woman. This woman's a black woman. They're all black. Pulled a knife on her, and she starts screaming to telling him to get out. Now, mind you, they've been fighting like cats and dogs since they moved into this bitch last year. It's been a nightmare for us because, like I said, we didn't have the cops called on this location multiple times because this is relatively a quiet neighborhood in a quiet town. This is not the type of shit that you would expect in this sort of place. Yes, so some fuck shit would happen every once in a while, but it's quieter. You know what I mean? So last night he gets escorted out and everything. He gets arrested. They put him in the freaking cop car and everything, just like the last few times. But guess what? He's not supposed to even be living here, because the whole thing is, the woman pressed charges on him before. His alleged wife pressed charges on him before, but he keeps coming back here because, according to one of my other neighbors, when she had a conversation with him, he said that he had nowhere else to go, so he always comes back. And I'm just like, okay, so you got this worthless man who's been incarcerated, according to him, who doesn't have a job, who's on disability, who drinks all day. The reason why we know he drinks all day because during the summer he would sit out on the fucking porch drinking, and then and like the towards like the late hours of the evening, and throwing beer bottles, beer cans into the bushes. This is how destructive this nigga is. And then on top of that, apparently he was peeing on the side of the building, and one of our male tenants from like the third floor as well, he caught him peeing on the side of the building and said, "What the fuck are you doing? This is where you live. There's a female in the first apartment over here. Why are you doing this? Why are you desecrating where we live? What the fuck is wrong with you?" Now, we've been having this ongoing conversation with this asshole for so long, and apparently they don't abide by the rules whatsoever. But the fact that he's been beating his girl black and blue, and he's back in the apartment again. And I'm over here like, okay, this woman, like Nosy has mentioned before, this digmatized bitches let these men back in here. She lets him back in here after all that blood curdling screaming and shit, after having like 4 cop cars in front of the fucking building, after having her kid crying and shit, and snot bubbling out the kid's nose and shit. And after all that, she lets him back in here, and he's back in here, and I heard him this morning because he was over here fussing and cussing as usual because he's a miserable fucking bastard, miserable fat fucking bastard. And I hear him, and he's walking the dog again, and I send a text to my neighbor because all the other neighbors for the most part we're really cool. We have each other's phone numbers in case shit happens because of prior incidents that happened ever since they've been here. We just want to make sure that we're okay at this point. So I sent her a text and I said, "Guess what? His fucking ass is back here." And all she can say is shake my head. Because the whole thing is, it's just like this man adds no value to this woman's life whatsoever. A black woman. She's the preference. She's the light-skinned black woman, okay? With the so-called nice hair and shit. And she just managed to get back on her feet. She got a kid. The daughter looks just like her. Looks nothing like him. He's not the father. He admits to not being the father. And this dude doesn't do anything besides drink, smoke weed, and fuck around with them damn dogs that he has. Now, mind you, when I first moved into this complex, into this building, they said that you're not allowed to have pets. But then why does he have 2 dogs? It's just like this nigga cannot follow the rules, no matter what. No matter what we do, as
Excuse me.
like as like tenants here, we can't get him to follow the rules here. And then it turns out he's beating his girlfriend, wife, whatever the fuck she is. He's beating the fuck out of her, and there's a kid involved. So we're just sitting here. We're just like, what do we do? Do we call CPS? Is CPS really going to do anything? Because this can't be helpful for the child. Because the child's home from school because winter recess, and her parents are fighting each other. Like the man's trying to kill this woman. He pulled a knife on her, and apparently this is not the first time this has happened. So I'm just sitting over here, and I'm just like, at the end of the day, if
That's
the
okay.
woman,
Esprit.
oh sorry,
Okay, so just land the plane, hon. Land the plane, please.
I'm just gonna land the plane real quick. I'm just doing it real quick. At the end of the day, there's nothing that seems to be done unless these women take the steps to land to stop the situation themselves. Because the cops have been called, the reports have been made, the neighbors have made reports. We don't want him on premises. He's still here, and if she keeps opening the door and letting him back in, and it doesn't seem like anything's going to change, and it doesn't feel like it's going to change because she wants him there. And these are the type of women that I feel like are ultimately dangerous because they're dangerous to the community as well. And
Yeah, management needs to get together. You all need to get together, go to management. They need to evict her. That's why a lot of people are no longer renting to people like her. But whoever wants to go next.
I can
Yeah,
go now.
Almez has been trying to tell y'all. That's all I have to say.
Okay. Yeah. Um, so to Espri's point, that is absolutely true. And that that management needs to be contacted in order to get those people out of there because there have been laws that I've seen pass. I'm here in Pennsylvania, and there was one particular town that really caught hell as a result of them passing what was essentially a type of 3 strikes law that made it known to renters in this particular borough, not too far from Philly, that 3 911 calls placed from one particular residence over a 12-month period is going to qualify as an automatic eviction, and they will be put out for the very reasons that were stated here, because the cops got tired of going out and answering the same calls involving the same people over the same shit, and there are no changes. Because this is also bringing heat upon the property owners of them essentially hosting problematic tenants. So I personally I support that, but as Setfru just said, and Almas has noted numerous times over, this is why Black women, particularly in these type of situations, are literally being shut out because people are just tired of the. Is there anyone else that'd like to share?
We don't get it, man. We just don't get it. We don't understand. This is life and death. This is not game time. This is not time for games. Again, people don't understand the times. Like you can understand the stars. Libra, Scorpio, all the different paths, and with your rising and moon star, you understand that, but you don't understand the times that you're in. It just really, really, it's frustrating, but it puts me on alert. It just seems like everybody is on this, except for a few. There's so many that are under the spell that they cannot shake. Like their mind is just set on this one thing or these few things that do not matter. They have no survival instinct. Again, we've seen this with Black women in other rooms. We'll hear a situation and we're like, wait a second, why are you not getting yourself and your children out of there? Well, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. This, that. No, 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 no. You're numb. You've turned off your defense mechanisms at this point. This is what I think is happening. And they're drowning. People are drowning. All of that with drugs, alcohol, entertainment, everything that you can think of to get away from the reality. So they're just standing in one place and they're just numb. That's all I have. That's maybe an explanation to all of this.
Yep, people are apathetic now. People don't care. You're not causing this problem in my property. So, people are apathetic, and Black women got to get it together. For those of us who are doing it, that's great. And for those who don't, they'll just get ran over by the freight train.
Well, let me say this. I have a line in the sand when it comes to black men. There's like a line in the sand. I don't view them like, I don't see a dude and be like my brother. I don't expect him to behave towards me a certain type of way. I understand it's actually survival of the smartest, and I understand that a lot of these dudes are ops because of the biology. There's a gentleman named Bruce Limpton that deals with the biology of belief. So I understand the black femicide and I understand the sisterhood, but many black women, you're gonna have a line in the sand too, because you're not dealing with what you think you're dealing with. You're dealing with biology. Okay. So in the biology of belief, what it talks about is after we form these beliefs, those beliefs now become our biology. Mel Robbins also talks about the reticular activating system. There's something in the brain that becomes a filter, and um, this filter allows you to live a certain type of way. You're only going to get certain information. You're only going to say hi to certain people. You're only going to take certain roads to work. You're only going to travel to a certain place. Like, if you could travel anywhere, boom, everybody goes to Miami. That's because the filter, right? The filter makes you speak in big generalities, right? You view the world as crazy, right? You'll say, "Oh, Chinese men don't love us," right? That's what the filter does. It makes you generalize. So what I'm saying all this to say, You have to look at it from a biological standpoint. It's not what you think. That you might look at her as sister girl. She got the same hair as you. Oh, girl, that I like your shoes. But what's her biology, right? And you're dealing with a nation of sick individuals. I mean, we grew up. Let peep this. We grew up eating hot fries and quarter juicies and eating oodles and noodles. That is our diet. Then we watch certain things, we listen to certain things, and then we talk a certain type of way. On a cellular level, this is what you have to deal with. You're you're dealing with individuals that are programmed to undermine their own habitat and then swallow up yours. This is the permanent underclass. It starts on a biological level. You might view her as a sister girl because of her shoes and her skin tone and her hair, slay, slay, slay. And that is one of the downfalls of the black community overall. We're very visual, right? It's about optics, how something looks instead of how it functions. So I'm gonna look out for you, sister girl, because of how you look. You quote unquote look like me. That's the mistake. But is she you? On a biological level, because that's what's going to control the body. And for you and your tribe, it's just a suggestion. You could take it or leave it. You have to draw a line in the sand of basically study to show thyself approved, meaning that a person's biology is going to have to prove itself to you by their behavior. You have to go deeper than she got baby girl can dress, or she got swag, or nah. Remember, we're in virtual reality. Everything is about the mind. Things aren't what they seem. The truth is stranger than fiction, right? So when you're dealing with a people's biology, you have to reserve yourself to extend love and shit like that, and keep it all business from the jump, right? Remember, it's the biology. That's what you're dealing with. When you meet a man, you're not dealing with his face, you're not dealing with his car, you're not dealing with how he looks, you're dealing with his biology. But it's the same when you um are dealing with each other. You're dealing with biology. 30 years of it, 40 years of it, 50 years of it. And that biology is not going to change because y'all become friends. So that's what I
Does anybody have?
I don't. I'm just really taking it in today. This is I like this. This is giving my mind something to do other than the usual. This is some good conversation, and I see what Ken is talking about. It does make sense. Instead of being with someone, be, taking someone into the fold just based on who she may be biologically, we have to start doing it on a mental level. So when forming intentional communities, that is what I talk about when forming intentional communities. So yeah, it is.
It's a lot to think about.
Yeah, we are going to have to change our behaviors, though. We're going to have to because as you all had that as that room you had the other day, the permanent underclass. For those of us who are talking about these things and seeing the issues, kind of, you know, seeing what's going on, it would be remiss of us to just be dismissive and act like we didn't have this knowledge beforehand. The canary has already been sent into the coal mine and it's dead. So we need to change our behaviors like yesterday.
Do you think we ever will, or as Nosy said, we're still going to be addicted to dick and getting killed on a daily basis?
I think it's going to get worse. I do. Yeah, I think it's going to get worse. I think it's only going to be a small handful of us that actually do change. It kind of goes back to the paper I wrote years ago in college talking about because I like sci-fi, I like post-apocalyptic elliptic genres. But I remember writing the paper about clans coming back into vogue and people, forming clans not based on genetic lines but familial lines. What are you going to be able to give to the clan? What can you contribute to actually be a part of this clan? I actually see that happening. I see that slowly happening and maybe faster than I think. We're going to go back to the days of clans and people forming groups based on what they can contribute to the group to make the
Avi,
group
stop.
move forward and be something that you want to be a part of. And if you can't, you're not a part of the.
Well, I mean, so is this thing going to be like tribalism, like back in Africa, and we're having all these wars because, stop it, Avi. We're having all these wars because of tribalism and all of this stuff? Or, I mean, is that going to be positive or negative? Because I thought we were like already in clans, and I see how this works. I mean, Somalia, look at Somalia, the most homogeneous country in Africa outside for a very small Jewish community, Christian community, and as what they call a Bantu community. They have clans and they're at war with each other. I mean, I'm just thinking out loud, but
No,
is you
I do get it. I get what you're saying, but I guess because we're moving forward, it's a different need to form clans. I don't know if it would be wars or whatnot. You can go back and forth and hypothesize about that, but I just think that people are going to start forming, like I said, intentional communities uh, based on the things that they have in common. And these rogue men and women in the black community, will they form clans? Will they be like night walkers? Because this is coming from us, the stuff that I wrote. Will they become like night walkers and the kind of people who, because they don't have skills, they'll be in taking over, trying to go into communities, being marauders because they have no skills, taking what they can and leaving. I just, I don't know. Now this is just my sci-fi mind talking, but that could be a possibility. But I really do think that's the direction that a lot of us are moving into.
Yeah, the based on biology, people are gonna go into clans. Now, now, peep the title that you have about David Carroll, right? So if he died from COVID, right, and a lot of black folks are susceptible to COVID, don't black people also have a very negative attitude though? Don't also black people, for the most part, I'm generalizing, but by and large, have a worldview that is not enthusiastic? So it's the clan is already shaped by biology, right? It's the your biology is gonna put you where it's at, and you're right, Black. It is a dystopian thing. It is straight out of a sci-fi thing. It's the Rowdy Piper they live kind of thing, because it's a biological thing, right? The cells are off in the people, and you affect these cells through traumatizing experiences, repetition, and symbolism, right? This is how the cells are being affected. So if you notice, The what we call the black community, it actually never was that though. It was pockets. It was Southerners, it was Northerners, it was West Coast people. There was never this utopia where everybody was just one. And people were forced to work together because of necessity. But once everybody got jobs and Cadillacs and shit, he went over there, he went over there, right? So we're not this family like we like to claim. That is a very romantic thing that we try to do. There is no black brotherhood or black sisterhood, or it's actually people are divided up based on their biology, right? Happy people hang with happy people, enthusiastic people hang with enthusiastic people, right? Those that want to travel, guess what, you find traveling groups. Negative people oftentimes hang in clusters. When I was growing up, I seen black men huddled on the corner. They all did the same shit. When a woman walked by, they all sounded the same, right? When an old lady walked by, they all still cussed. No one put the dope away. It's biology that's linking them together, right? It's that that's what it is. That's what's gonna put people where they're at. It's a more deeper thing because this thing is this thing is hyperdimensional right now. It's not what we think it is. Is the truth is stranger than fiction. That sister, that brother is behaving a certain type of way based on invisible factors that you and I can't see. She looks nice. He looks nice, but he's fucked up though. She's fucked up though. You know what I'm saying? So when we look in nature, everything is about the inside of a thing, right? The seed, the plant life, the inside of it. How does it work? It's like that with humans too. It's about intrinsic value. It's not how something looks. Things will not be divided by optics. That's how the permanent underclass is going to do it. But moving forward, those that understand the biology of belief, those that are intentional, like you said, and have affirmations and have a different worldview, and you do your work on reprogramming your biology because you can hack your biology. You can begin to hack it and you begin to turn genes on that weren't on before. And when you turn those genes on, like success is a gene, right? It's actual language like JavaScript. And when you begin to turn that language on, all of a sudden, hey, my name is Ken. What's your name? Now I'm in someone's house that you would never think I'm in, based on what? My biology. What is the law of attraction? Where's the attraction coming from? It's not coming from the outside. It's something inside of us that's pulling us to each other, right? It's something on the inside. And I personally believe in this biology. So the biology, the clans are going to be based on people's biological network.
Wow, that oh, this my paper. I'm gonna have to pull it out again because this is just crazy. When you say the biological beliefs, I think about okay, like in my this is something I had to write for creative writing. When I wrote about the clans, like each clan had a designated thing that they did. And like the night walkers, they had absolutely zero skills. They didn't know anything, so they were like night walkers. And they were marauders. They come in the dark of night and cause havoc, death, and destruction. But then I think about the biological people who their skill was their bodies. They were like what I call dysfunctional dollies. You really bringing it back for me. You know, their that was their talent was sex. So they were instead of calling them prostitutes, I just preferred to call them dysfunctional dollies because it was set in the 22nd century. But thanks for that.
Black, have you ever heard of Jennifer Donda? Dodner?
No.
You want to write her down because she deals with CRISPR, right? So one of the things I haven't talked about it
Oh, I
yet, and
love this. I love the idea of CRISPR, but go ahead.
so gene editing, right? So a
Yep.
lot of this permanent underclass stuff is about gene editing. They're gonna
Yep.
edit the gene of the child before it even is born. So it's already predetermined what it's going to be. So it's going to have candor. Like there's a movie called Divergent that deals with that, right? It's going to be real specific, right? But it starts with gene editing, right? Now they're doing this now with CRISPR, right?
Mhm.
Turning a cancer cell off in a family or whatever. But we're able to hack our biology too. It's a lot of work, but you know what? It's doable. And that's changing our language, like having a total right? Like divestment in its real form, meaning like putting the entire culture down, changing the environment, changing the language, right? And then all of a sudden your belief is going to change and the biology is going to notice a difference. And the biology is going to conform to your new worldview.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen, right? If so, when we look at our grannies, great grandmoms, you can't tell them anything about Christianity because their biology was hacked to that. So when that episode on Good Times, when the son put wine on Ned on the wall, and Florida Evans could not accept that, right? For those that seen it, she
Yep.
could not accept that because her biology, her belief is hooked up to biology. This is our emotions right here. But just like they're doing CRISPR, we can do that too. They do it in laboratories, but we can do it in our meditations. We can do it in our like everybody can't go though. That's the thing though. It's just not a group thing. It's an individual thing, right? Everybody can't
Mhm.
go. And you got to be able to hack your own biology because that's what the future is about. It's about gene editing. Right now, can you notice things in your life? Can you notice what you hate, what you dislike? And instead of going to get a outward cosmetic surgery, the ancients knew how to do that on the inside. You can do that same work that people do on the inside, a BBL, nose job. You can do the same thing on the inside. You'll be surprised the places the mind can go.
That's why when you brought up the reticular activating system, I have been studying that for the last year. That is extremely possible to start. You have to change your thought process, and you have to be very intentional about it. I know, people want to, it's starting to get into metaphysics now, but that reticular activating system is real, and I know it because I've done it in my own life. So when you talk about internal facelifts or plastic surgery, I I really wish people who are listening, please look into the reticular activating system, read up on it. I work with a doctor who hit me to that. Actually, a psychiatrist who did some stuff. He does research with neuroscience, and he's the first person who ever told me about it. And when I start actually bringing it into my life, I started seeing positive outcomes like things that I wanted to eliminate in my life and patterns that I did not want to see in my own children, especially my younger two. I started doing some exercises and things, and it's really made a difference. My daughters move in a way differently than I did at their age because of what information I was given to me, my mother and her generation. And I just do not want my daughters to operate that way. But that reticular activating system, when you brought that up, it made me smile because I actually used that in my life.
I just wanted to put in as well. So, to the idea of changing the genes, it's also a matter of changing the language. For example, when my daughter was diagnosed with ADHD, people kept saying disorder. And I kept explaining to her, no, it's not a disorder, it's a differential. And she operates in a way completely different from what people consider to be ADHD. So, the ADHD gene is literally something that turns on for risk taking, entrepreneurship, pioneering. And when people are walking around thinking they have a disorder, they operate differently. The world's prisons are filled with people who are neurodivergent and considered ADHD. However, they're also most of the world's billionaires who are neurodivergent. The Elon Musk, the Richard Bransons. These are the people who are able to use that gene as a superpower. So it's not just, part of changing that gene or flipping things on or off is really the ways that you talk to yourself, which brings us back to the reticular activator.
Y'all can look up on Mel Robbins on YouTube. She can help with a deep dive about the reticular activating system, and what it is just a filter in your brain. In another word we could use for it is algorithm, right? Just overall algorithm, because that's what we're actually talking about here is algorithms. And for 2020, my affirmation is protect my algorithm at all costs, And when I'm tempted to know what's going on in certain spaces, to remind myself, protect my algorithm, because you press one video, it sends you down the rabbit hole. But it also does that in real life. You entertain one phone call about gossip, about who's doing what. You take that shit outside with you, and now you're open up for a flat tire, a car crash. You're like, there is there's a frequency to be lucky, right place, right time, and people gifting you, right? But it starts with you might want to get off the phone with your cousin talking about that, and you might not want to watch that right there, and you might not want to say that right there. You might not want to eat that, right? Because what the Kabbalion teaches us is that everything is vibrating. So we're vibrating. We're just vibrating all day. Vibrating what though? And we're vibrating in color and shapes. So what we're attracting to us, like, people just don't die randomly. Random shit just doesn't happen to you. It's because you're vibing a certain type of way. And all the stuff is connected, y'all. All of it. All of it. From the conversations we have, who we sleep with, what we eat, what we watch, how we go to sleep at night. Are we intentional about that? You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I'm off about that. I'll just go to sleep. But I didn't make a plan though. I wasn't intentional about my sleep. That's where the magic happens, when we're sleeping, right? And we want to be intentional about, yo, you know what? Here's what I would like to accomplish when I'm asleep, when I'm traveling, and I'm gonna set the tone, set the phone for some type of nature music, the water running, fire crackling, rain coming down. A lot of us sleep with the TV on, or a lot of us argue with our boo and we make the mistake and go right to sleep with that. That's our growth spaces, right? And then we wake up and go to work and get into it with somebody. Or we cough like me, right? I'm sick because of what I'm telling you right now. I know exactly why. Because of entertaining bullshit, right? It only takes one thing. So it's I don't think it does do justice of why is this and why is that. Instead, uh, there's a it's smarter to share techniques on psychic defense, on defense techniques, on Bizarro World. Like, if anyone listens to me, know that I talk about critical mass. You can't change this. That's one thing you have to accept. You can't change it. So, since you can't change it, once you ask why people are doing what they're doing, and then you diagnose it, then you work on the psychic defense for yourself. Ladies, you can't change black women. You can't change black men. This is it is what it is. It's the permanent underclass. And you're just in the beginnings of it. And you're gonna get a broken heart trying to change it, trying asking why. And you know what I'm saying? You would do diligence for you and your small tribe to practice your psychic defense. Make sure babies go to sleep intentional. You be intentional. Work on your vibe. Work out. Work on physical defense, psychic defense. Learn another language. Learn about different ways the mind can go, the different types of intelligence there are, right? And that's what I'll.
We have a road ahead of us, ladies. We really, really do.
Do you think people are really listening? Do you think people are really listening?
I,
I mean, I'm not saying anything. I know the women in this group, they listen. But, I've tried to talk to women in other groups, and they're still worried about Kim K and she got a butt reduction. So,
yeah,
great. But how is that going to help you in your life? Because Kim K's got her money. Her money's set. Her
I
money
do.
is straight. So she
I,
doesn't have to worry about those things.
I don't
What are
believe the
you
great
doing?
majority is. I don't. I don't believe the great majority of us are listening. I don't. We are still in a microwave society where if it doesn't happen now, it's never going to happen. So it's no reason for me to change. I really believe that that's the mindset of a lot of folks. And, for the few that hear, you know, that's all the concern should be about, really. But for the vast majority, no, they don't care. They don't care. And even if they kind of believe it would happen, they don't believe it will happen for them. So again, they're not listening.
They only worried about getting high, getting drunk, and getting fucked.
Potty, every time you talk, I just have to laugh because it's just so brutally.
I just go on the shit I see here in Chicago, and that's all these people concerned about. It's hat sex, drugs, alcohol, and celebrities. They don't care about the babies that they keep spitting out. They don't care about the hood that's on fire. They don't care about nothing.
And I know it's a luxury for many of us, but that's why when you change your environment, a lot of times it really does change your outlook, your perspective, and the way that you do view the world. As Ken said, it's the world view that's so freaking limited in the Black community. It's so limited. Once you move out of those urban landscapes and ecosystems, you start seeing things differently. Um, not being so connected. Like when I'm not connected, I feel free. I can't really explain it, but I can say I feel free. My thoughts aren't invaded. I love hiking. You know, when I go hiking, things change for me. I think, have more clarity of vision. You know, y- but I have that luxury. I have a luxury to work in nature. Have planting and working with animals and things like that. My own personal animals. But when you don't have that, when you don't have a luxury to do those things, like Black folks, we're just in our communities, we're stagnant. We think the world is what is around our little 1 mile radius or whatever, our hood. So again, we're just we're self-limited, and we stunt our own selves. you know it's something that we do to ourselves. Just like intentional communities are going to be a thing. These intentional this in, dysfunction is intentional. We know that this stuff is wrong. We know that this is not helpful to us, but many of us continue to do it anyway. So nothing's going.
I'm gonna give you this right here. Um, moving forward, this is some of permanent underclass project I'm working on, but I'll let you in on it a little bit. Moving forward, you can't actually identify as black because it's a spell. That's where the issue is. It's not actually real. And I can prove that blackness and black and all that is not real because it's not a law. The only thing real in life are laws. Vibration is a law. Polarity, that's a law. Gravity is a law. That's something that we all can prove and work right now and get the same outcome. If you all drop your let go of your phone, the outcome is going to be the same. It's not subjective. It's not what you believe, right? Blackness is this different thing in different people's minds. Therefore, it's not real, right? Gender is in all things in nature. That's a law, right? Correspondence, meaning as above, so below. That is a law. That means the higher you go, the more pressure is going to be. And also, the lower you go, you're also going to experience that same pressure no matter what. That is a law. Rhythm is a law, a pendulum swinging back and forth, boom, 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 right? That is a law. What I'm talking about is hermetics. Those are laws that every one of us can experiment and get the same outcome. So moving forward, to not be part of this, you actually have to be in your proper person, and it's not black. That is a spell. And I know many of us, we have an emotional connection to it. Say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud. Angie Stone, black brother. Oh, black is beautiful. If you come from the old conscious community, yeah, the triple black darkness. And it's a spell. Okay? So, black, by definition, means reflecting or transmitting little to no light. Now, anybody that understands light, light refers to knowledge. So there is no light in black. There's no knowledge there. It's also indicative of condemnation, okay? Heavy, serious, sad, gloomy, okay? Hostility or angry. Now, do people act like the definitions that what I'm reading right here? You have to remember, black is something that was called to you, and that you didn't call yourself that. People were clans, tribes, and nations. In Native American cultures, they were running bull, right? You thunder, right? You was associated with something in nature. People weren't colors, and the color that's associated with us is actually negative. And we act out hostility. We act out anger, right? Remember, the conquistadors conquered first, then the Anglo-Saxon. Before you were black, you were negro, right? And the Portuguese called you something as well. All this is related to what we're talking about. The issues going on with us is because we're black. The definition and what we're experiencing in our reality is the same thing. Now, what happens when we go look up the definition of white? What does that mean? Favorable, fortunate, and capable of immoral impurity. Yo, it's power in words, man. It's like we got to go far with this thing. It's power in words. When we're talking about white privilege, what are we actually saying? Oh, favorable and capable of immoral impurity. Black, what you were just talking about, with that freedom that you were talking about, that's you stepping outside of black, and it feel good. I know it do. You know what I'm saying? To be black is not connected to nature. Black does not love animals. Black don't have a reverence for the sun and the moon and the stars and the dirt. Black is this ugly thing. I have to put it like that. And if you notice, anytime when any of you have stepped out of blackness, you're like, damn, What is that? You don't know what it is. So you step back into blackness where it's more, where it's comfortable and you understand it because of Anita Baker and Ronald Isley. Ooh, I love us. Ooh, that's all emotional. But I'll land here. If it's not a law, it's not real. All this shit we're talking about is blah blah blah. If is it a law, right? Can we do an experiment on it and get the same outcome? And no matter where we are, that's how you'll know. So what I was talking about in the beginning, you can get a more in depth about that when you go into the seven laws of hermetics, of how how the universe is ran, and this shit is old stuff, right? So I'll land right there.
So what is the book that would you recommend? The Kabbalion, is
Oh
that what
yeah,
it's
yeah.
called?
It's called the Kabbalion.
Okay.
The
Okay.
Kabbalion. So those were the
Kabbalah. It's called Kabbalah. And
Ka- oh, okay, okay, right, okay. So yeah, those what I was talking about was the seven laws of hermetics. Then there's another thing, the seven liberal arts. Like, so when we get deep, deep, you know what I'm saying, into philosophy, that's how this thing is broken down, right? But it's mentalism, which means the universe is mind. All is mind, right? And then you have rhythm, and then you have vibration, you have correspondence. That means as above, so below. You have duality. And what that means is there has to be a left and a right, right? And then you have polarity, and then you have gender, right? Those are the laws of hermetics. And y'all can get a better understanding of that by reading the Kabbalion and just going deeper. And I'll land here, the freedom at going into the new year. If you really want to be free, if you really want to be free, put that black shit down.
Yeah. Like you said, like when I'm hiking, you know, because this conversation is turning into something else, but I like it. But like when I'm out hiking and different things, and of course, we kind of, it's just nature to look to see who's out there similar to you. But I'm going to say this: when I let that go, when I let that go, and I don't concern myself with being the only black woman or black person out there, I found that it don't matter. It doesn't matter, and it is very freeing. I want black women. I know I'm using the term black, but I want so many to start hiking and getting out into nature, because it really does something to your mind when you're out there seeing things in their habitat, and you do feel a part of that. So I get what you're saying, kid.
And I mean, and that's what that's what I was having these rooms about. Black women freeing themselves from bullshit and this thing called blackness, but it's always associated with something negative. I mean, I know James Brown had the whole thing back in the day. I'm black and I'm proud, and that's nice. But what does that really mean?
Not a darn thing when the collective of black folks are self-loathing.
Yeah, yeah, because it's like if you were, you know, proud. Are you proud of the way that your communities look? Are you proud of the way that the collective doesn't care about their children? Are we proud of the fact that we're calling girls fast who have been groomed and sexually molested? Are we proud of the fact that 64% are above young black girls and some and boys are having unwanted sexual contact before the age of 18? Are we proud of the fact that women are walking around here traumatized, still passing peas to their molesters? I don't know. I'm just saying, is that something to really be proud of? I mean, we have the black excellence. Yes, I I'm just thinking out loud, but going over the other night that we were in the room with Ken and we had the academician in there going on and on about, 500, 400 years and blah, 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 blah. And she couldn't say anything when Ken had brought up all the, famous and very wealthy black people that happened after slavery. So why is this narrative always placed in victimhood? I mean, how do we get out of this narrative of victimhood? Victimhood. I see it on this app and I see it all over. Victimhood.
I don't think it's a coincidence that majority of black folks have low self-esteem and buy into victimhood.
I don't think you can. I don't think you can get out of it because it's remember it. We're dealing with program. We're dealing with a virus. It's software, right? So we know that worlds create worlds. So I just read to you the definition of black, how it's angry, and it's condemnation. Now, say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud. Okay, so let's rework that. I'm angry and I'm proud. I'm condemned and I'm proud. I am depressed and I'm proud. I'm ratchet and I'm proud. I'm a molester and I'm proud. I'm a rapist and I'm proud. I don't take care of my kids and I'm proud. These are baked in the words, right? Words create worlds. So it's and it's a religion. Victimization, it's a religion. You have to know that when those conversations go there, there is a chemical that's being released in people, right? And now I said this, the same chemical that's released in Elon Musk when Tesla stock jumps, that is believe it or not, that's the same chemical that's released in these rooms when them conversations go there about the genders, the sexes, what happened, the history. It's a high. It's Maslow's dog. So I just want people to know on a deeper level. This is stranger than fiction. You're like, yo, people getting high off this shit? Yes. It's a thing on the inside that happens every time it's mentioned. It produces something. So to change it, you would actually have to starve the stimulus, which is the language, the victimization. 400 years, but it's not even true though. It's not even you weren't even it's weird. Remember, the brain can't differentiate what's real or fake, right? So, one thing about the reticular activating system is you can believe, you can think things were real and they're not. So when we're talking about these narratives of history, we're talking about it from a perspective of we and me. This happened to us. Hmm? If someone pinches you, I don't say ouch, right? So that's because people don't know what it's like to be an individual. That is illegal where we come from. Girl, you're not allowed to do your hair like that because it's self-hatred, right? I was in a group yesterday and I was just taking notes and it was about colorism and self-hate. And then I went to the definition of self. I'm like, people don't even know what self is. Self ain't physical. So how a woman chooses to do her hair, that's not related to how if she likes herself or not. You understand? If I don't want to date a black woman, that doesn't mean I hate myself. If she doesn't want to date a black man, she doesn't hate herself. right? See, because people don't know the deeper thing about it because of black. It's a code, y'all. It's a system that you're operating in. I call it the black app. The same way you put an application on your phone and that application takes over your phone. It's a software. You didn't believe that when you was a baby. They told you, oh yeah, you's a cute little black girl. And then you answer to it. And it becomes now the program. But are you really that though? Right? And I'll land here. When you step out of the black app, you begin to pick yourself up. Your identity. Your job is to find out why the hell you're here at this particular time. It is not your job to try to elevate humanity. Billions of people? The earth was like this when you got here. Now, what I practice is I eat something, I replace it. That's my contribution. Outside of that, you don't go no further than that. I took something, I put it back. Meaning, I ate the apple, cool, put the seed in the ground so another apple could come. That's all you owe. Outside of that, why are you here, man? Why are you here? It's self actualization. And because of blackness, people have not took that step yet. Crackers are already there, man. They're trying to get to Mars now. They had hella time for that shit. Climbing Mount Kilimanjaro and Mount Everest, trying to figure out what's at the bottom of the ocean. You know why? Because they already self-actualized. I'm doing what's best for me, not the group. And you don't ever hear Elon Musk talking about the community, and he don't feel guilty about the shit neither. What he's focused on is, damn man, how can I be better than Henry Ford? How can I put my name on the list of the great inventors and industrialists? That's what he's thinking about. Have you ever heard him say the community? But you, black woman, have to be guilty for being a capitalist, right? You can't just grind. It has to be this overall humanitarian, man. Why you can't just get some fucking money? Leave it at that. I want to make money and a lot of it. What? No, it has to be this higher calling. I'm not with none of that shit. So I'll.
Question: what do you think is I see generally black people's guilt around having money, making money, living a good life. Why does it always have to be when you have reached a certain plateau in your life and you've made a good amount of money, you are called a sellout?
Because you have to be responsible for everybody. That's so fucked up. That is we have this weird thing of like we're just one organism. Yes, in the grand scheme of things, we all breathe the same air. We're on the planet and all that. But there's this, and I believe this is why a lot of people don't reach for success. It's because it's the burden of the group. There is no individuality in the so-called black community. You are responsible for millions of niggas that you never met. Now, let me put it to you like this. So, black girl creates a product. Nobody's fucking with her for whatever reasons. They don't like her weight. Maybe she got a high body count back in the day and people remember that. So she's selling her shit and that no, 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 no. Cool. Her mama got to get into it and make an investment into her. Mama starts pulling from her 401k, right? Business doesn't take off, right? Man, she's taking out loans, she's grinding, she's crying, right? One day the product takes off, right? Oh, finally, after all the blood, sweat, and tears, after all the no's, she went to her family. Only person that believed in her was her mama. They went broke trying to launch this product, right? She gets super successful. The only thing they're gonna ask that black woman, what do you do for community? What the fuck? Not about her sleeping in the car, not about her not buying no panties or bra or shoes because she all money in, taking her money, putting it right back into the business. Every dime. So she's going without in the looks department. Y'all know how it goes. Somebody on here already know. And they don't ask you, how are you successful? How did you do it? No. They ask you, what do you think about the George Floyd killing? The fuck? I'm a businesswoman. Ask Al Sharpton about that. I'm here to talk about money. Why do you think I care about that? You see? You can't even extrapolate the success principles from successful niggas because they're always talking about race. They're always talking about the the broke, busted, and disgust. They don't tell you how. And it starts from there. It's this guilt. But it's weird because at the same time, no one helps you on the way. When you struggling and you sleeping in a car and you eating ramen noodles while everybody's flexing and you believing in your product and you going out of town to sell, you taking out loans, fucking your credit up. This is a real story that I'm saying. And then you get successful